Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, and welcome to another computer science tutorial. In this video, we'll be talking about how to create a program in which you could input information. You could have the user input numbers, strings, and stuff like that. So, for that, we'll talk about briefly what libraries are and objects. So, we're going to go more in depth later on throughout the course, but for now, we're going to have a brief explanation of what they are. So let's get to it. So over here, I have my, I already have IntelliJ opened, and here are the instructions. Alright, so you should see this in the assignment section. So first off, what we're going to do is create a small program that asks for the user's full name, age, and his favorite animal, his or her favorite animal. We're also going to create a string, apart from those previously mentioned variables, called age group. And this one will depend solely on the age that the user has put in or inputted. Now, we have to make so the user can input each answer for each of those questions and then display that information as shown over here. Now, depending on the age, change the value of the age of the variable age group accordingly and print it next to the person's age, like this, right here. Example, if age is lesser or equal than 17, then you have to print teen, right here, between parentheses. But if the age is greater or equal than 18, then print out adult, like there. Okay. So this is how it has to look in the end, okay? So let's go ahead and start. The first thing that we would need to do would be to create the variables. So we have full name, we have age, favorite animal, and another string called age group. Let's go ahead and create these variables. You already know how to create variables because of the problems we've been doing before this one. So, full name. In this case, in difference to the other projects that you've done, we're not gonna assign a value to it just yet because we're gonna let the user input that value. So we're just gonna leave them empty. We are separating a space in our storage for these variables. We want a space for the full name. We want another space for an integer, which is age, a whole number. We have another string in the instructions that says it has to be favorite animal. So let's go ahead and name it favorite animal. It could be any name that you want as long as it's something that relates to what it's going to be storing. And then we have the last string, which would be age group, right? So let's go ahead and string age group. Whoopa! Right there. So now we have our 4 variables, and that's good. So we haven't put anything, we haven't assigned anything to each variable because, as I said before, we're going to let the user input that information. Now, so the user can input something in the program, at least in Java programming language, and the one that we are using in this course. We need to import some libraries. So think of libraries just like that. Imagine that whenever we import a library, that means that we have access to like a room full of different functions and stuff that we would need to use, alright? So in this case, we will import right here before the start of the program, before the start of the class, right here, import java.util. This is our library. We want to import something from the util library. And we're going to say what is it that we want to import from this library. Let me give you a better explanation of what a library is. So right here, it's like we're having multiple options, right? All these are different libraries. So when we call out a library, like for example math, in that library we might find all the resources needed for using to the power of, finding the square root of something, rounding up numbers, for example, and stuff like that. So different libraries contain different things that you can use for functionality in your program. So in this case, we're going to use .util, which is also the library that contains classes like arrays, different collections, and those are for storing data. We can have the date as well. These are useful things that you can have in your program. Okay, so right here we're going to be looking for scanner, which is the one that we need for inputting, for letting the user input something. So we could just type it with a capital S, scanner, right here. And the IntelliSense, it's already suggesting it right here. So I'm just gonna semicolon. There we go. So it turned gray here in IntelliJ because it's not being used at the moment. But once I start using it, it'll come back to life with colors. Alright. So now, it says we need to make it so the user can input answers for all three. But for that, for the user to know what they're answering or what they're inputting, we need to ask them. So let's go ahead and print out some questions like, what is your name? Since we want the user's name, let's ask them, what is your name? Ta-da! And you see, right now, we will want the user to tell us, to answer the question and tell us what his or her name is. But the thing is, for that, we need to create an object. Now that we've created the library, we've imported the library, my bad. Now that we've imported the library over here, now we can use this library by calling out to the scanner class, creating an object of that scanner. It's like creating a virtual scanner in which the user can input information. Alright, so for example, over here, let's say scanner, calling out to that class, and we're gonna give it a name. We're gonna create an object, virtual object, alright, in which it's like an instance, in which we are going to put a name for now. Let's put a name. So it could be input. The object of the scanner object that we're creating right now might be named input or user input, because it has to be relating to what it's going to be doing, right? What do we want it for? Well, we want it for user input. Well, good. For input. Good. Okay, so scanner user input is new right here. It's a new scanner that we are creating right now. And what function is it going to have? Well, this is the parameter right here, system in. So for now, all you need to know about this line is we are creating a new object used for inputting information. This is what we'll use to assign a value to all these variables. Alright, so this is going to read whatever the person or the user types in the keyboard once you call this object. Now, we're going to do that. Don't worry. For now, this is what you need to know. Alright, this is just for input. Now, later on, when we talk about classes and objects and methods and all that type of stuff of object-oriented programming, you're going to know more in depth about what is going on in this line right here. Alright? Now, so let's go ahead and use that object that we've created. What we're going to do is go ahead and put the variable full name is now going to be equal. We're assigning a value to full name. But what is that value going to be? Well, what the user inputs, right? So let's put user input to whatever the user input in the next line right here. And then open the parenthesis and you close it. So we have the object user input, and this is the function of that object. So it's going to read the next line after what is your name, and it's going to store that that text, that value, inside the variable full name, which we already made a space for it earlier, right? So now, if I want to try it out and see if it works, I just go ahead and print out full name. But to understand, okay, so your name is full name, and then we concatenate. Remember that? Yes. Bum bum. And now, if we put play, it's gonna ask us for our name, and after we put it in, it's also gonna tell us our name, like confirming. Okay, so what is your name? My name is Angel Vasquez, and then I put enter. Your name is Angel Vasquez. Ta-da! Perfect. Everything's good. Now we're gonna do the same thing for integer, for age, I mean, and then for favorite animal. Now there's a slight difference right here with age. It's not a text. The next line is only for text. It's only for string, right? We can delete this because we don't need to confirm it anymore. We know that it works already. Alright, so right here, this is input name. There you go. And then that would be right here. Sorry. And then we have what is your age, right? What is your age? And now that we want to know what the age of the person is, what we're going to do, oh, sorry. All of this should be indented. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now, if we want to ask for the age, if we go ahead and put, okay, age is going to be equal to user input, the same thing that we did earlier, and we try next line, check out here in the IntelliSense, it's already suggesting it cannot be next line. Look at next line. Okay, it says it has to be string for that, right? Next line. But we want next int because it's an integer. So we go ahead, click next int. We can also find all the keywords that we need over here in and right here. In W3 Schools, it's a perfect web page that shows us a lot of different examples and explanations that we can use as a resource, a good resource, and also for practice, for understanding different programming concepts and how they work and how to see them in action. Look here. There are different methods that we can use with a scanner object, and it tells us what it's for, each of them, right? So right here, different examples, and right now if you look at them like from a distance, they might look complex, but once you start reading line by line like the computer does, you'll realize it's not that complex. This is the same thing that we did, but just with a different object name. Alright, so now, moving on. Right here, we have age will now be equal to user input next int. Now, this is the thing. This will only recognize the numerical values given once you put the input, right? Once you go ahead and answer that question, the user. But there is an issue that we'll see in a few minutes. So for now, let's just print out age and see if it works. Alright, so I'm going to system out print line, and then I am going to see. So right here, we go ahead and type your age is, and then we concatenate together with age. And here we go. Alright, so let's see if it works. Everything should be running smoothly up to that point. And what is your name? Well, my name is LOL, and my age is 12. Alright, so you see it recognized my age. Right now it's not displaying my name again because I already deleted that line because it's not necessary. We already know that this is working. Now, this is also working. But here's an issue. Check this out. Check out what happens when you go ahead and try to put an input for another string. Let me put over here, so input age. There we go. So now I have this, I am going to do the input for the favorite animal. So let's ask, what is your favorite animal? Question mark. Alright, so now we're going to do the input. We already did an input for a string earlier on, right? So let's do it. So favorite animal, perfect, all good. Animal equals user input, the same thing, dot next line, dun, 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 because it's a string. And then we go ahead and put a semicolon. We're good, everything's good. Up to now, everything is good. But there is one issue, you'll see. So let's print out right here, dun, dun, your favorite animal is space concatenation, and then we're going to add the variable favorite animal, like that. Good. I'm gonna put a comment right here, and this is for input favorite animal. Good. So let's try it out. See, let's look at the difference. Ta-da. So we put our name, we put our age, and it recognized our age, but automatically when it asks us for our favorite animal, it jumps over the input and it goes to your favorite animal is without any display. And there's one empty line here. You see this line? Well, yes. I'm gonna tell you why this is. Well, the reason is because when we are using the int, next int, it will only store the numerical values, and it like puts on hold when we put enter, when we press enter on a keyboard. That's a string character. So over here we don't have that issue because it recognizes the string and it's okay, and it just moves on. But when we are putting numbers, it kind of like accumulates afterwards, right? It has one enter reserved. So whenever you ask for the next line, you have that enter already in reserve, and that enter is being read instead of letting you put information. So what we can do to fix that is right here, we're going to consume that remaining enter, or that remaining next line that we have, right? So over here, after the next int, what we're going to do is user input, and just simply recognize that string, that enter, alright? Boom, boom, and we are good now. Now everything should work normally, alright? So what is your name? Angel. What is your age? 18. You see? It didn't ask you for anything else. It just went ahead and it recognized the enter, and now we can go ahead and answer what is your favorite animal, because there are no enter spaces in reserve. So now, what is your favorite animal? My favorite animal are tarantulas, obviously. Hello, tarantulas. And we put enter. So your favorite animal is tarantulas, or I should put R, or simply put it in singular, but it's good. You understand, the program works. So now this is not the display that I want right here. Look at the display. And we haven't used the age group variable. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. You guys already know how to do if and else, so I'm gonna take it up a notch with the speed, alright? So let's remove right here this line that was just for testing. These lines that are just for testing, we're just gonna remove them because we don't need that anymore. Now we know everything is working as it should. So let's just put it here, consume extra space. Yeah. Alright, now use comments to document why you're doing things in a program, alright? I would like to see your comments in your programs whenever you submit them to me, because it's a good practice, alright? Especially when you're starting to learn what each thing is for. That way you can like it's like taking notes while doing at the same time. So that's pretty cool. So now we're gonna start with this part. Depending on the age, change the value of age group accordingly and print it next to the person's age. Example: if age is lesser or equal than 17, then print teen. And if the opposite, if the age is equal or greater than 18, then print adult. So we have a variable for that. What we're going to do, instead of start putting system out print line, no, we're just gonna put an if, and we're gonna modify the value of age group depending on the condition. Okay, so the first condition would be if age is lesser or equal than 17, then we open the brackets, then age group will be equal to teen, right? We'll put a parenthesis, capital E T, just to make it look good over here. And then if that's not true for now, I'm just gonna put one more condition. So it would be I'm not gonna put any more conditions. So we have teen or adult. We could expand this if and else and just put infant, teen, adult, senior, and stuff like that. Even young adult or stuff like that. Okay. So what we're going to do now is basically put age group is now equal to adult right here. Perfect. Now we can use that variable. Now depending on what the user inputs as age, we're going to have right here a display of teen or adult. So now let's go ahead and set this up, this part. And the first part we're going to use, now we're going to be using this a lot. Alright, so first name, and right here we concatenate with full name. And I made a mistake here. We just put name and we're good. Perfect. Then the same thing. So I'm just gonna copy this because we need 4 of these. 2, 3, and 4. Yes, take advantage of that copy paste. And now age, favorite animal, and that's it. We only needed 3, sorry. Alright, so over here we start changing the variable depending on what we want there displayed. So we have the name already here. We have the age, the variable age plus something else. We also need one more variable here, which is age group. Remember? Look at this. Age, then we have the value of age, and then a space right here, another space, and then we have the value of age group, which in this case is adult because he or she, I am older than 18, right? So right here we go ahead and put a space. How are we going to put that? Well, in quotation marks, we put a space right here, and this one is going to be recognized as text, and we're going to merge age with this space. So here, age, the value of age, a space, and then the value of age group. Ta-da! And over here on the bottom, it would be favorite animal would be the variable favorite animal, and we are good to go. Now if I put play, everything should run accordingly, and age group will be different depending on my input on my age. So I'm just gonna run it with Angel Santiago. And what is my age? I'm 62. And what is your favorite animal? I think dogs. A dog. Right there. Boom. That's my dad, by the way. So Angel Santiago. He's Angel Vasquez, but yeah, to make a difference. Angel Santiago, 62, adult, right here. And favorite animal, dog. You see? So depending on what I put, let's put a minor right now, a teenager. Let's go ahead and try that out. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and what is your name? Well, it is Adriana Torres. And what is your age? Let's say 16. And what is your favorite animal? Let's say cat. Boom. So you see, age 16 is a teen. Adriana Torres, favorite animal, cat. It's displaying right here. So now you know how to input, you know how to import a library, and you know how to create a basic instance of an object right here. This is the instance of an object. This is the import of the library. And each time you're inputting something right here, boom, boom. Remember that we need to do this, consume the extra space every time that we're not using inputting text. All right, if it's for example floats or doubles or numerical values, right, stuff like that, we're gonna need to do this. Okay, so now I hope this video was helpful, helping you through the exercise, the practice exercise. This practice exercise is a combo, right? The assignment is for you to submit this one and another one, which is the challenge. All right, so I made the video for this one so you can understand the concept and how to use it. If you have any doubts or comments, please leave them on the section below. You can also send me an email, and my students already know my email, so you can go ahead in Teams and you can find me, send me an email. All right, and if you want, we can meet one-to-one to talk about your doubts or about your issues with your program, so we can troubleshoot it. But for that, you need to send me an email first so I can confirm if I am available or not. Now, usually from 8 to 4 I am, unless I have a virtual class. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you have a nice week.